My boyfriend of 4 months, Marcus, retaliated against me because I went out until morning with my close friends by calling me while he was having time with his friends with benefits. Time has a tendency to curve around our feelings. Even though Marcus and I have only been dating for 4 months, the spectrum of emotions we have shared makes our time together feel both very short and shockingly lengthy. He studies architecture while I study graphic design at Aether Academy, VL University, and we're both sophomores. Due to our mutual passion for design, we initially met in a freshman seminar. From the beginning, our talks were smooth and conversational, discussing our studies and aspirations for the future. We would frequently have coffee while surrounded by class models and sketches. And in those early days, our relationship felt natural and easy. We spent many nights discussing our projects and ideas, which I always found enriching. Marcus's background was quite different from mine, particularly his strong Catholic faith and conservative views, which initially I found intriguing. He was upfront about his caste and his values, including his limited experience with relationships and his decision to mostly save himself for marriage. However, as we moved past the honeymoon phase of our relationship, I began to feel the weight of our differences more acutely. His traditional views, which I once admired, started to feel restrictive, especially around topics of intimacy and personal freedom. He had been very open about his conservative approach to relationships, but this openness sometimes made me uncomfortable and skeptical about how it would affect our relationship. Our first major challenge came when I committed to a major group project with my friends from the graphic design program. The project, titled The Geometric Synthesis, 50 Specimen Shapes, was an ambitious plan to create 3D models for various abstract shapes, combining artistic flair with scientific precision. As the deadline approached, my team decided to pull an all-nighter to finish our work. I was excited about the project and shared my plans with Marcus, Brandon, hoping he would understand the commitment it required. Instead, his response was cooler than expected. He seemed uneasy, not just about the late night, but also about me being deeply involved in something outside of our relationship. His discomfort seemed to stem from his religious beliefs, which made him wary of the unpredictable nature of creative projects. His reaction left a coldness between us as I prepared for the night. There was a noticeable tension in his goodbye that evening, and even his hug felt forced. It made me wonder if our relationship, built on such different foundations, could really last. Despite this, I headed into the project night full of anticipation, but also concern, not realizing that the events of the evening would test our relationship even further. The day leading up to the planned all-nighter was a typical Thursday, marked by the usual rush of classes and the added buzz of creative energy that always seemed to spike as deadlines approached. I checked my phone intermittently, noting the absence of any messages from Marcus. It was unusual, given that we often exchanged quick updates or words of encouragement throughout the day. Deciding to break the silence, I sent him a text, hoping to lighten his mood and possibly share some of my excitement. "Hey, busy day here, but looking forward to tonight. Wish me luck," I typed, hoping the smiley face would bring a smile to his, too. The reply came just as I was gathering my things to leave the studio for a quick dinner. "Good luck. We need to talk when you have a moment." The message read, void of any emojis that might hint at his mood. The brevity and tone of his text sent a small wave of anxiety through me. It was not what I had hoped to read, especially not today. Dinner was a rushed affair at a nearby cafe. Returning to my apartment briefly, I found Marcus waiting for me, his figure against the doorway of our living room, an unmistakable tension in his posture. "Hey, you're home early?" I said, trying to sound cheerful. Marcus just nodded, his eyes following me. "We need to talk about this project night of yours," he began, his voice steady but with an edge that immediately put me on guard. I don't understand why you need to spend a whole night working on this with your friends. Doesn't seem like it's just about the project. His words stung because they echoed a deeper distrust that seemed to have been growing between us. A project, Marcus. It's important for my course, and you know how these things go. We all push at the end to get everything perfect, I replied, trying to keep my voice even. Marcus crossed his arms. It's always about the project, isn't it? Or something else. I feel like you're slipping away, doing all these things without me, and tonight it just feels like you don't want me around. I sighed, feeling the weight of his words. This isn't about not wanting you around, Marcus. This is about me needing to do this for my degree, for me. I thought you understood that. He looked away, the lines of his face hardening. I do. It's just hard sometimes. I miss how it used to be with us. I admitted I missed that too, the distance between us feeling more profound in the silence. The issue was temporarily set aside, but the tension lingered like a stubborn fog. As I grabbed my things to head out, Marcus's voice stopped me at the door. Be safe, okay? He had a trace of the old warmth in his voice that made my heart ache for what we were struggling to hold on to. I responded, I will, I promise, offering him a small, hopeful smile. The night of the project was set to be intense. My friends and I had booked a study room in the university's main library. The first few hours flew by as we dove into our tasks. Sophia, a meticulous planner, coordinated our efforts. My role was to integrate the background graphics I had designed. At 10 p.m., I sent a quick message to Marcus. In full swing here, hope your evening is relaxing. The immediate response I hoped for didn't come, and I pushed the slight worry away. Midnight approached, and we took a coffee break. I checked my phone again, noting the absence of any messages from Marcus. A ripple of concern stirred within me. By 2 a.m., the fatigue was settling in. I sent another message, a bit more detailed this time. Still working hard, miss you. The read receipt popped up almost immediately, but there was no reply. The silence gnawed at me, making the coffee seem a bit more bitter. As 4 a.m. rolled around, we were in the final stretch. I sent one last update to Marcus, half hoping he'd respond with words of encouragement. Almost done here, can't wait to see the final product. Love you. The lack of response this time felt heavier, more loaded. Finally, around 5:30 a.m., we wrapped up our project. Despite the successful conclusion, my heart wasn't fully in the celebration. The unanswered messages from Marcus cast a shadow over my mood. I arrived home just as the sun was beginning to rise. The apartment was silent. Marcus' side of the bed was untouched, indicating he hadn't slept. On the kitchen counter, I found a note from him. Went out to clear my head. We'll talk when I get back. The terse note was unlike his usual thoughtful messages and did little to ease the knot of anxiety that had tightened in my stomach. The words, so stark and devoid of his usual warmth, felt like a cold draft through the room. Sitting at the edge of our bed, the joy of our project's completion was tinged with a sadness that felt all too familiar lately. Marcus returned home late in the noon, the sound of the front door closing a signal that a confrontation was imminent. He found me in the living room. As he entered, his expression was unreadable, a mask that hid whatever emotions he had stewed in during his hours away. So, you were out all night for a project? His tone was skeptical, laced with a bitterness that made me wince. The question felt like an accusation. Yes, Marcus, it was for my final project. You know how important this is for my grade, I responded, trying to keep my voice steady. All night, though, seems like a bit much for just a project, he scoffed. You could have done some of it at home, couldn't you? Why did it have to be an all-nighter? His doubts stung. I explained that it wasn't just me. The whole group was there, and we needed to work together. He remained unconvinced. It just doesn't sit right with me, you being out like that, and not even a call to check in. How am I supposed to trust that? I was tired and exhausted from the sleepless night. I'm telling you the truth, Marcus. I'm too busy to call, but I've texted a lot, but you haven't replied. Marcus's gaze hardened. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Something about this doesn't add up. The conversation spiraled from there. As the discussion wore on, I felt a profound exhaustion wash over me, not just from the lack of sleep, but from the constant battle to justify my actions and intentions. As the afternoon light began to fade, so too did my resolve to keep arguing. Finally, I stood up. I need some rest, Marcus, I said quietly, the fight gone from my voice. I'm sorry you feel this way, but I've told you the truth. I hope you can believe me. I headed towards the bedroom, leaving him in the living room. As the gentle colors of the morning light pierced the darkness, the sudden ringing of my phone shattered the quiet. It was Marcus. I was utterly unprepared for the events that were about to unfold. Hello? My voice was groggy, tinged with anxiety. The sounds that met my ears were not words, but moans, distinct, unmistakable sounds of intimacy. My mind raced. Confusion gave way to a horrifying realization. As Marcus's voice came through the line, breathy and cruel, he whispered, I wanted you to hear what you've been missing. The background noise didn't subside. It was clear he was not alone. The shock hit me like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. There was a pause, then Marcus's voice again, colder this time. He said, because maybe now you'll understand how it feels to be unwanted, before the line went dead. The phone slipped from my numb fingers. I stood frozen, the echo of his words reverberating in my mind, each syllable a shard of glass in my heart. The pain was sharp and deep, a devastating betrayal. In my shock, I called Sophia immediately. She rushed into the room. What happened? Oh my God, are you okay? She asked. Through sobs, I recounted the phone call. Sophia listened in silence. This isn't just about tonight, is it? She murmured that the incident wasn't isolated, but a climax of ongoing tensions and unspoken grievances. It was the breaking point of something that had been fracturing slowly, painfully over time. Sophia stayed with me as dawn turned to day. She stated firmly, we need to talk about this, not just you and me, but you and him. She was right. The foundation of our relationship had been shaken, perhaps irrevocably. With Sophia's encouragement, I called Marcus later that day. Marcus, we need to talk, I started. What you did this morning was beyond hurtful. It was destructive. There was a heavy silence before Marcus responded, his voice subdued. I know. I was angry, hurt. I had no idea how else to show, so I did that. Hurting me like that, making me listen while you were with someone else, that's not a way to solve anything. It's just causing more pain, I continued, my voice firm but shaking. I know, he repeated. I wasn't thinking. I just felt so disconnected from you. I'm sorry, truly. After the phone call, I retreated to the safety of our bedroom. I couldn't shake off the deep-seated sadness, nor the images of Marcus's face twisted with accusation and mistrust. It was a cycle of tension and misunderstanding that seemed to repeat itself with increasing intensity. It was the realization that I no longer recognized the man that I had fallen in love with. He had become a stranger, one who could willingly inflict pain with such calculated indifference. My phone buzzed with texts from Sophia and Anna, and a missed call from my sister Chloe. I dialed Chloe back, needing the familiar comfort of her voice. I recounted the morning's events. That's just cruel, you know? It's not like you to tolerate this kind of behavior.
Chloe finally said. I admitted, I can't keep going like this. It's draining me, Chloe. She insisted, you deserve so much better. You need to think about what you really want moving forward, not just for the sake of the relationship, but for yourself. Later that day, I met with Sophia for coffee. She laid it plainly. You're not yourself anymore. You're always tense, always worrying about how to navigate around Marcus's feelings. The realization was bitter. He's changed, Sophia. Or maybe I'm just seeing the side he's hidden all this time. She posed the final question. What you going to do about it? I realized that moving forward alone was a better path than staying in a relationship that had lost its way. It wasn't just about finding happiness, but about preserving my self-respect and rediscovering the strength I had before the relationship consumed me. With a heavy heart, but a clear mind, I decided it was time to end the relationship. The conclusion was challenging, but beneath the pain, there was a resolve that persisted. Marcus's expressions were a mixture of resignation and quiet recognition. Ultimately, he comprehended and acknowledged my choice, even though it was evident he was upset and regretful. In the weeks that followed, the immediate sense of relief was tinged with moments of profound loneliness. This introspection, though painful, was a necessary part of my healing process. Gradually, the sharpness of recent wounds gave way to a more profound understanding of myself and my boundaries. I realized the danger of compromising too much and losing oneself in the attempt to keep others happy. I made a self-promise to put emotional fulfillment and respect for the other person before my dread of being alone in a relationship. As I move forward, the scars from this experience remain, but they are a testament to my resilience. They remind me that I have the strength to face difficult truths and make tough decisions, and that I deserve to be loved fully and without reservation. The journey of reclaiming the pace I once knew is ongoing, but now I walk it with a clearer vision of who I am and what I truly value in life and love. I have removed this story from the platforms where I published it, as I believe the details of what he did with me should not reflect poorly on my account.